all of the top news and the #1 reviews. If you're looking for a place for wrestling talk, look no further than here. State of the WWE. Joe Cronin, Dave Rose, and Justin Bailey are gonna break it down piece by piece right here on State of the WWE.
What's up, wrestling fans? Welcome to State of the WWE, episode number 67. I am here with a different crew. You know Connor from OKFabe. He's been here a couple times. Hopefully you remember him. If not, what the hell's wrong with you, I guess. But and also, Good Mic Work from YouTube. Good Mic Work has been, I think, the most requested face that we've never had on here in recent memory to me. What do you think about that? Have you been getting that? Because it's weird. People keep, like, texting and tweeting me. The only difference is, like, when people do that, like, I go, oh, let me go look. Just like when JD from New York was like, who should I do a show with? And people requested me, and that's how he met me. As opposed to Mr. Bruce, when everybody wanted us to do something together, and then I messaged him, and he was like, fuck you. But, alright. But yeah, so that's how this happened. Tell me real quick before we go to the State of the WWE about your channel, because, I mean, you're at 10,000 or so subs now. How long? Yeah. I mean, I've seen you a couple of times here or there, like back a while back, but recently I've seen you more. When did your channel start and everything?
It's been about 6 years. First of all, it's awesome to be here too. I know a lot of my listeners have been asking me to be on with you or JD a few times, but my channel has been in existence since about 2010, but I was really half-assed with it for like the first probably 3 years, but more like 2, where I just did it as a side hobby, did it whenever I had time. I'd go months at a time between uploads every now and then. And then as, you know, the snowball started rolling, started getting a few more subs, started taking it more seriously, and then a couple of years ago I said, all right, I'm going to put some time and energy into this now and actually care. Yeah. And, you know, I've been ballooning from there. So I'm, you know, just under like 13,000 subs, so nothing extravagant, but I feel like they're quality subs, and I got a great fan base and a great group of listeners, and, you know, they all kind of know who you are and JD and a lot of the other people, and that's why I wanted to start touching base with you guys, because it's good for, I think, the community to see us all talking like this. So,
yeah, that's what I always said to people, and then they always told me to kill myself. But I like it because your format is similar to our format, so that's what's good. You know, people, you know, it's harder for people, you know what I mean? Like, there's guys who just do like a video vlog where they're in front of the camera for like 5 minutes and they do this big quick recap, and like they'll get like thousands of people. But people that listen to us more like the whole podcast format.
Right. Yeah, that's what I like doing.
So you've got a lot of active subs, which is good because, you know, a lot of mine are dead. Even, like, you know, I mean, 37,000. I've never bought subs or anything like that. And in 37,000 people, you know, most people just end up dropping off YouTube and stuff. So they're dead. But no, it's good to have you here, and Connor from OKFabe as well, guys. So check their channels out, Connor from OKFabe and Good Mic Work. And
yeah, cool. Appreciate that.
Yeah,
man. Cool to be here. And this is my first time ever venturing out and being on somebody else's channel or whatever. So I'd like to have you on mine at some point in the future as well. It'd be really fun. But, you know, this is interesting. So I'm interested in doing more of this. So it's cool to be on with you guys.
Yes, I like it. He broke the cherry with us.
That's 3
Yeah, right. Yeah, please be gentle.
Yeah, I won't be. No, I will be. I'll be. Well, damn it, son.
I'm on my 3rd beer. You can be a little rough if you want.
I'll come on to your show anytime.
He doesn't feel anything after the 3rd beer.
Yeah. Yeah, what you are on your 8th beer, it might be what I'm like just regularly.
Just the chip.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. I'll see if I can suck down 5 in this short amount of time.
You know, you sound like a caller I gotta say this. This is really funny. I used to have a caller. His name was Old School Matt. He's a turncoat cocksucker now, but his name was Old School Matt, and he used to call all the time. You sound like Old School Matt. It's the weirdest thing.
I've never heard of Old School Matt. I promise you I'm not him.
Anybody who knows who Old School Matt is, Good Mic Work, is like Old School Matt, but if he wasn't a creepo. He had like a fucking hearse and all this stuff. It was weird.
What?
Yeah, I don't know. He had a hearse.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, and he was bizarre. I don't know. No, he's actually pretty good. I'm just fucking around, Old School Matt, if you're listening, but he really did kind of, I don't know. He turncoated. But anyway, moving on to what Connor, we were talking about this earlier today, or before we started the show. WWE planning Triple H versus Shane McMahon, apparently at WrestleMania. Like, what the hell is that? Is a long way away.
Yeah, it's now keep in mind, and I'm kind of, I was telling this to you guys beforehand, I'm kind of iffy about some of these rumors, because some of them seem like, there are rumors out there that seem legit, and like you can easily see them going kind of down this path.
Is it Wrestling Observer?
No, it's not Observer.
Okay.
I try not to go. I mean, no disrespect to Meltzer. I try to avoid Meltzer if I can, but no, it's not Meltzer.
Oh, let me disrespect to Meltzer. I fucking hate them.
Duly noted.
No, I'm just kidding. I don't hate anybody, but they clearly work for the company.
Yeah. This one, there's actually two about WrestleMania, but we'll talk about this one first. This one, apparently, there's been talk of apparently there's like backstage tension between Shane and Stephanie in real life. Apparently.
Sexual tension. Have you seen what they look like on television?
I mean, that slapping and the kiss after the
it's just,
Jesus.
It is. I'm like, are they gonna?
Am I supposed to be hard during that? I didn't know. I wasn't sure.
What is this?
Like, is this like I'm very confused right now. I don't know what I want.
There's some people out there who had a bad experience as a child with one of their siblings, and they can't watch anymore.
Hey sis, come here. Just come sit with me for a second. Just there's a reason I have this DVR. Come on.
Oh my God! Like it is. You would think that. I mean, they really are. They're like whatever. I don't know. It's creepy, but whatever. I guess. So So they've got real backstage heat. I guess. Well, why?
Yeah,
where is this coming from? What's this? It doesn't matter the source, but I just want to. Yeah. Why are they saying this?
There's been friction between Shane, Stephanie, and Triple H ever since Shane made his return to the company. Stephanie feels betrayed over Shane's return to the company, that he's still around after only being supposedly only brought back just for the WrestleMania season. And now there's been talk of bringing the Shane-Stephanie drama to storyline programming, where the two will have a blow-off at WrestleMania 33. One idea brought up by Vince is Triple H versus Shane in a loser leaves WWE match.
Oh, Jesus.
Come on.
So, I mean, if Shane has plans to leave at some point, I guess you got to get him out of there somehow. But it's an inevitability that they're going to have this match. I'm just surprised that these stories come out. Oh, it's going to be at WrestleMania or whatever. I think they might just be banking on the inevitability of this match taking place, and let's make a story out of it. Who knows when it's going to happen? But it's almost impossible for it not to, even though we really don't want to see it.
I can't believe it.
I'm fine with them fighting at Mania, but I hate stipulations where you know what the fuck's going to happen before you go. That's my biggest gripe.
There can't be real heat between these two. I don't believe that that's real.
No, I don't think.
I mean, what are they fighting over? Like, they both are set for life. They have millions upon millions of dollars. They're highly successful. Where's the competition? Why is there even competition?
And the other thing is, Triple H and Stephanie have corporate titles to them. I mean, does Shane McMahon have a corporate title? Is he the chief brand officer?
Not to my knowledge. The only thing I knew he was working. I mean, I knew he was dabbling in some of the creative stuff, but I mean, just like literally just dabbling. He wasn't like in charge of anything. To my understanding, he's just on camera. He's just this. There's no like official title, as far as I know.
Do you think if he wanted that they would give it to him? Like, and he said, I want to come back to the WWE, work in the office, or do something, and have a full-time job and have that corporate title? I mean, wouldn't you assume they would let him have it?
I guarantee they would give him something.
I think Shane would have the balls to do it.
I think that he really did plan. I think he plans on he's going to try to get a job somewhere, and any time he could leave. And I think at the beginning he thought any second he could be gone, and he ended up staying. And maybe I
mean, hell, we didn't even see Stephanie on Raw this week.
Yeah.
Yeah, because, I mean, if they were going through with this GM and commissioner stuff and they're putting him on SmackDown, it's not like that can be super short term. He can't be gone in 3 months. You've got to hang around for a little bit. So. Well,
they've got Brian as a buffer anyway, so now. But you're right, it's bizarre. He's probably going to be here. He's going to be here till Mania, like we said. I mean, now did this, because we said maybe this makes more sense for Mania. I mean, for SummerSlam, rather. I feel like it does. Like, all of a sudden, Triple H comes out. But this is way too... Obviously, it's not happening now, because SummerSlam's a week away. But, this is, April? What are we in? August? I mean, this is 6 months away.
It's way off.
It all depends on the build. Like, I'm a firm believer if you give me... Like, you're telling me a match on pencil, okay... as long as like getting there makes sense and kind of like fits the bill. I may not be a huge fan of it and be like, oh my god, I'm so excited, but at least A plus B equals C. I can kind of get to that. If they at least plant the seeds for this, I say fucking do it at Survivor Series, because that's the next crossover pay-per-view you'll have between Raw and SmackDown. Do something. I don't care if it's like huge or small. Just do something to like give me the idea of, oh, maybe we might see this again and develop down the road, because we kind of saw it with Orton jumping Lesnar and then Lesnar jumping Orton on Raw and SmackDown, which, again, I heard they're going to do more of that during these big 4 pay-per-views as more Raw versus SmackDown matches. So if you can piggyback off of that and then throw Triple H's big nose in the middle of it, I mean, fuck, why not?
Yeah, I could see them being like, you know, I dare, you know, I'm calling out whatever friggin' John Cena to show up on Raw, you know, I'm inviting him to Raw and I want him to show up, you know, and whatever, that type of stuff, and then all of a sudden John shows up on Raw. You know, I mean, yeah, you're going to get that stuff. That stuff doesn't bother me, really.
No.
It would just, it's, what I just keep going back to, I don't even want the brand to be split. It's just, I don't like that.
Yeah, rosters are kind of weak.
Why couldn't you just have sort of, you know what I mean, put some of these people more on SmackDown, but not broken up the rosters officially? Why couldn't you have just said, well, okay, we're pretty much only going to have the Cruiserweight title defended on such and such, or we're only going to have the, you know, the IC belt defended on SmackDowns mostly, or we're only going to feature Sin Cara on SmackDown, or we're only going to feature, you know, whatever.
Well, that's a good idea. If SmackDown is the B show, you should have the mid card and B performers on there trying to get over on their own. I mean, they're already treating it as a B show anyway, so what's the point of the top guys being on there? Yeah, you're exactly right.
And
they could have done it that way, it would have been fine.
Here's another interesting thing too. You could also, you know, when NXT people debut, they could debut in SmackDown. You know, most of them could debut on SmackDown. You could debut some of them on Raw, but you could debut most of them on SmackDown. And then, you know what I mean, when people start getting behind them over there, then all of a sudden, bam, they make their Raw appearance. I mean, you can really kind of slowly introduce them in, but I guess that's spoiling it in some ways. But even they don't even need to do that. They just need to be like, all right, well, freaking Sin Cara and this guy, you know, these people are going to be on SmackDown for now. When people start getting more hot and more popular, they have better. When they have a storyline for you, put them on Raw, you know, or put them on SmackDown more. You know, when they have storylines, do it. Why do we have to? Now we're limited to knowing this guy's over here, that goes over there, and they're again trying to generate this competition. And I will say that it's sort of, in one weird way, works for me in a way, because I'm like, okay, you know, Monday Night Raw review, I'm giving my Raw review rating, and then I'm like, let's see what happens on SmackDown tomorrow. Then you're giving your SmackDown rating, you know, and now it's been all kinds of fun for me, because, I mean, probably you guys as well, on your reviews, because it's like, well, now I'm going to, I do TNA again now. So now it's like, well, TNA, now they get a rating. And, you know, TNA to me was the better show all week. Which is hilarious, because these two guys are trying to create competition for each other, and I'm like, oh, I think TNA beat them this week, you know, by 0.5, you know.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, no, you're you're right. I don't know where they decided on a lot of the I don't know what I'm trying to say here. You know, where they finally, you know, finalize the decisions, okay, this is the direction we're going to go. But yeah, when you see all the different ways they could have done it, it could have been worked out, yeah, a lot of different ways. So I think with SmackDown being the way it is, it's just hard to measure up with Raw. It's 2 hours. It's different. It's everything's different. So they could have done it.
I mean, shit. Even Marie's entrance take 20 minutes alone. So I mean, there's almost like a fourth of your SmackDown episode. I mean, good God, but
yeah. And time stands still when she bounces by. But no, she'll wrestle eventually. But no, it's just you know, and sometimes they are better. You know, SmackDown, I think it's been, I don't remember now, but I got to start recording this down and writing the stats down. But I think we've had 4 weeks or 4 episodes or 2 episodes of each or 4 episodes each. I don't remember what it is.
Of the draft episodes?
I think no, the Raw and SmackDown episodes. 3. I think they've split. Okay,
3,
so
I think. Yeah,
3 weeks. 3 each. Okay, so I think it's been split for me. I think Raw was better one week, then SmackDown was better the next week.
Yep.
Then maybe Raw was better, or like SmackDown.
I think SmackDown's going to kick a lot of ass after SummerSlam because they have to.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. You know, another thing, the rumor that's floating around is that WWE, that Vince is mad at the Usos and at some of these talents. You think he's upset at the Usos?
I heard that, but I have no idea why.
Because Vince why is he mad at anybody? What is he doing? He's such a psycho.
You hear,
like, what did they do?
You're fucking
one of them smelled Becky's hair, right?
Yeah, I don't know. Like they.
Oh, what the fuck? That was it? I heard about that. I was like, that's.
I heard that too. But
there's a picture of it. I saw it. I'm like, oh my god, he really is smelling her hair. But I don't know the context of it. It's weird. But
wait a minute. Vince was smelling the hair?
No, one of the Usos.
One of the Usos.
During the draft.
Get the hell away from her hair. Get the hell away.
It's like Paul.
Why is my question is just why is Vince randomly mad at anybody? I just don't.
Is it really true, you think? I mean, like, it's weird. Like, these things come up all the time that Vince is angry at this or Vince that. If you just write that Vince is mad at something, like, it becomes a news story, so...
What, who was it? Oh, Heyman. Heyman said this on Stone Cold's podcast that, Vince hates sneezing.
He hates sneezing.
Oh, yeah, I knew that. Yeah, he hates any of that stuff. He hates smoking, sneezing, any of that sign of weakness. He thinks you should be able to control your sneezes.
Yep. Yeah.
You know, does he hate diarrhea?
It's crazy.
Oh my God! Really, he hates sneezing. That is.
Oh yeah.
And when Heyman explained it, I'm like, I sadly can believe that. That's wow. That's nuts. And oof.
I'm telling you, this is a little graphic, but I mean, Vince, I think, was touched improperly in the trailers in North Carolina when he was a little boy. And he has come back so crazy. It's such a crazy, you know, just everybody just describes him as this man's man. He'll shake your hand and he'll squeeze your bones till they break.
Yeah, he's alluded to that before.
You know, grapefruit and all this stuff. I have no doubt that something, you know, on not right happened to him when he was young.
Some dark stuff went down with him. I mean, you know, it's pretty amazing, too, that he ended up finding his father found him. I mean, that's nuts. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
imagine this.
Yeah, he was Lupton. He was Lipton or Lupton, whatever the hell his last name was before. You know, he wasn't even taking the name McMahon until he was a teenager.
Well, he didn't know.
Right.
Yeah, so it's
But I mean, like, that's crazy. You know, when my mother, after my dad died, my mother's boyfriend was such a piece of shit that I used to think the same thing. And I found out about Vince when I was like, I think I found out about that when I was like 13. I read something, and I was like, I'd wish for this. I'd wish for that. I was like, maybe because I was adopted also. I was adopted, but my adopted parents, you know, I was adopted as a baby, right? So my mother and my mother and my father were my mother and my father to me. And I was adopted as a baby. They're my parents. But my dad died. So like, but honestly, I knew that I have a real other dad somewhere, a biological dad somewhere. You know what I mean? So I'd always think like, oh, you know, I loved Vince's story. I was like, maybe this guy will. I was like, maybe my fucking dad is somebody, you know, find me or something. Like,
Vince shows up, son.
There you are, Cronin. No, but no,
yeah,
it never.
Senior would have known how this would have worked out. I don't know if he would have. What he would have done.
Oh, that's great.
Maybe you go back to North Carolina there and stay there.
Maybe
Connecticut's not that far from us, Joe. I mean,
well, maybe it's maybe Eminem's dad, because I kind of look. Well, maybe it's Eminem's dad. You know, he banged a lot of different women. But no, maybe you know what? No, what would happen to me is like I would be in the hospital dying or something, and then like for some reason he'd find me somehow, the biological father, and he'd show up there, but he was like a psycho, and like the last week of my life, like he'd be like, hey, can I come by? Can I come by and see you again? Like, oh, fucking, I found my dad. He's a cocksucker. That's what would happen to me. But anyway, what do you think about Roman Reigns? Good mic work. I haven't heard what you have to say about any of this because we've never spoken before. What do you think about Roman Reigns and Rusev?
The feud, well, I like the feud because of the fact that it just keeps Roman away from the title. It lets everybody know that, okay, WWE, even though they love him, they're not licking the inside of his asshole because they are making him eat the proverbial shit sandwich, obviously. Not that the U.S. title really is, you know, that much of a step down. Rusev's doing an awesome job with it, but I'm fine with the feud because it gives him something else to do, but I actually really want... I'm just team Rusev right now. I've been saying that on my commentaries. I really like him. I think the whole presentation of him and Lana is hilarious because people are discrediting how funny he is.
He's hilarious.
Not only is he a beast and a badass, but he's quite funny, and I just love Rusev. So I'm worried that once WWE is over their little tiff with Roman Reigns, that he's going to start mowing down people again, and I'm hoping that Rusev is not the first person that it is. But
do not talk to the Lana.
You see Rusev tapping him out? Could you even imagine that happening at SummerSlam after what we've seen so far?
I could see. I don't know. We're going to find out though, because if Roman wins, then you know that this is his. You know, he's good to go. But if he loses, he's buried.
I expect a shady finish at SummerSlam and Rusev walking out as champ because they're going to keep this thing going. But it's kind of a double-edged sword. I think I could see. It's so funny how like I've heard so many people across the board say, I'm fine with Roman in the mid card. And it's kind of funny because honestly, as U.S. champion, I don't mind it so much. But on the flip side of that, I want to see Rusev continue his heel streak as U.S. champion, and then repeat, what was it, 2014 all over again?
Yeah, maybe doing this with Roman would have been better when the Shield first broke up, and he could work his way up to the world title. That way, people wouldn't have freaked out so bad when they finally gave it to him. But he was on top from the minute Seth hit that chair shot.
If they'd started this then, he might be now the guy, but instead they tried to make him the guy.
but I am a little worried that Roman might have trouble focusing. But if he just takes some Adderall, I'm sure he'll be fine.
Yeah, go for it.
Lana. Do not taste my lana.
Yeah, but it's funny. I mean, guys, it's kind of refreshing because when we all get worried, we've seen the WWE ridiculously push people before, and the stuff with Orton, and of course, what they've done with Cena and stuff, and so for them to see them even punish Roman, I think is kind of refreshing. I'm like, okay, they're not sweeping it under the rug, they're not pretending it didn't happen, they're not erasing the blemish on his wellness policy. They are punishing him out front for everybody to see. It's clear. And I was like, wow, okay, that's nice. At least they're not, once Vince has his mind set on somebody, he's like, we're pushing them no matter what. At least they'll pull back if, it might take a wellness policy violation for them to do it, but at least they'll do it.
Right.
So
well, can you
nice,
imagine?
but,
I mean, dude, have we ever seen anybody I've said this a million times, but have you ever seen anybody push like Roman? I mean,
no.
Really, nobody has ever, I believe, ever been pushed as hard as Roman Reigns. And forcibly.
Not like not like WWE backing them in that sense. I mean, Punk's the only person I can think of as far as a top star who's been throttled that way, but that's mostly because of Punk. But yeah, no one to my recollection.
The last person that
especially no one that the fans are clearly rejecting. That's what makes it even worse.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. Like, it's I don't think anybody has been pushed this hard. Anybody else who's gotten a push got a regular push, and their push worked, and because everything was working anyway, or they made the push happen, they started it, and you can't even quantify it into the same type of thing. The only type of thing where it was like manufactured push, keep pushing, oh, it falls apart, is Lex Luger. Lex Luger is number 2. Roman Reigns number 1, Lex Luger number 2. And
yeah, you're probably right.
What they did with Luger it's very similar. The only difference is, Luger came in, got hot, and then it started to fade all of a sudden. You remember? Like, why? Like, think back to that. I don't know. Good Mike.
I remember that. I remember it well. I mean, Luger was the narcissist. He was a shitbag heel. He attacked Bret Hart before WrestleMania 9.
Yeah.
And they were going to use him as, okay, that's the reason Bret lost the title. He got knocked out by the steel plate.
Yep.
He dropped the belt to Yoko. They can move into a feud with him and Luger. And then when Hogan left, I think Vince was like, I need that American fucking guy because he's not out of that line of thinking from the 80s.
Right. And
he just recreated it with the next guy with the best physique he could think of. And Luger was literally the narcissist on the house show the night before on July 3rd, and then he was Mr. America on July 4th. It was ridiculous.
Yeah. It wasn't,
and he had the bus and the whole deal. Oh, it was nauseating.
But it was over with a lot of people. Like, how old were you at that time?
I was, oh God, I don't even want to say. I was old enough to drive. I'll tell you that.
So I was
a junior. I was a junior in high school, I think.
I was 9.5, and I thought he was great. But
instead of the Lex Express, we got the Roman rails.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Fucking train.
You know what though? I was also a Bret Hart fan, and so to me, what happened looking back as a kid, I didn't notice this. I didn't know what was going on. To me, as a kid, I liked Bret and I liked Lex, and I think I kind of liked Bret more. And then Bret ended up going to the main event anyway. After this huge push and this huge thing, all of a sudden, still Bret Hart made it to the end. But from what I'm thinking about now, and I don't remember the crowds, but I'm guessing that the kids were kind of with Lex, but some of them were still kind of with Bret, and then the older fans who were smarter, like yourself at the time, probably were for Bret then. So.
Oh yeah, easily, and you could tell that too. I hate to fast forward, but the Royal Rumble later on in '94 when they co-won it.
Yeah.
After the match, after the finish, and the whole, which they did an excellent job of hitting the floor on at the same time.
That was crazy, dude. That you'll never recreate that.
Cena and Batista, same thing. But when those guys did it, I was like, wow, that was fucking perfect. But after the match, when each guy is climbing the ropes, and they're saluting the crowd or whatever, they're booing Lex and they're cheering Bret. So I think just the majority of the fans, and you can hear it clearly. The fans are cheering their asses off for Brett. So I just think people respected Brett. I think the locker room respected him better. And I think after a while, Vince was like, we can't do this. Because Lex was definitely going to get the title.
Yes.
He was supposed to get the title.
Oh, absolutely. It was totally going that way. He had great music, all that stuff. But you know something, and this is good that you're here, because I said this at WrestleMania 30. I was like, wow, this was like all I could think of was like, this is like Bret Hart's WrestleMania 10. It was like they realized the mistake, and then they were like, well, we're going to really make sure we give this guy give the fans and give this guy his due. Like he has
to. There's a lot of similarities in that. Yeah.
I mean, he has to wrestle the first match against Owen. Injured, he's injured. Just like it was crazy. That's all I could think of. You know what I mean? I mean, I've been watching since WrestleMania 5 as a 5-year-old. But so anyway, that is the biggest push besides what Roman's been given. I mean, you brought everything out for Roman, all the people he beat, all the overcome odds. He already had the title. He was actually given the title like to set him up that you could see him being champion. It was just fucking bizarre. And then Vince puts himself out on TV and then puts himself with Roman and say, you're going to kick me in the balls and all this stuff. Like nostalgia with Vince and Stone Cold and all that stuff, but not for us. It was just all a flop. All a flop.
It was. It truly was.
How personal do you think Vince holds this? Like, you son of a bitch, like we gave you everything.
I hope not too bad. Jesus, Vince has seen a hell of a lot worse than this. I mean, at the end of the day, nobody should be taking anything if you're on the WWE roster, but an Adderall is not that big a deal when you consider
forget the Adderall. I'm not even talking about the Adderall. Screw the Adderall, screw the drug, screw the suspension. I am literally talking about the fact that he just can't get over.
Oh, Vince is pissed about that.
Yeah, you think like, damn it, we did all this shit for you, and you son of a bitch, you can't. Like, you know what I mean? They gave him
so instead
for
of
2
altering
years.
things, he just continues. Like, that's insane.
No, but I mean, do you think how personal of a grudge? Do you think he holds like? Do you think he like has bitterness towards Roman because they put 2 years into this guy trying to force him down everybody's throats and he didn't get over? Do you think he blames himself or do you think he blames Roman?
I don't know. I would hope he would blame himself because I think Roman is capable of getting over, provided they utilize him properly. But this shit isn't working. So yeah, he probably, knowing Vince, he probably blames Roman. It's not Vince's fault at all.
Right.
That kind of makes a broader question as far as like talent versus like WWE. Like at the end of the day, if something flops, who does it fall on? Is it the performer not executing what the office wants? Or is it the office not understanding their audience in that's what they, you know what I mean? Like it's a real tricky thing to peg down where it's wrong.
If you go back,
combination of both, I'm sure.
But go back and look at how Vince and everybody talks about Lex Luger. If you go back and look at that, they look at him very negatively. Like they do. They say Lex wasn't ready. He wasn't over. He wasn't the guy. They've said things like, Lex was supposed to be doing it, and then we knew Lex just didn't have it. Lex couldn't do it.
Well, that's Vince's grudge. That's him being pissed that he showed up on Nitro.
That's what I was about to say. Do you think that was a major part of that? Because if you look at most of, I mean, and this is obviously switching
they stuck
gears
him with the British Bulldog after that. So I mean, I don't know.
they kind of when they talk about WCW in general, for the most part, they slam it like 95% of the time.
Yeah.
In almost any aspect, if you go back and look at anything that they, so I think that's part of that too. Is that whether or not you think Lex was ready or the right talent or blah 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 blah. I think a majority, if you ask anybody in WWE, they're going to slam Lex because maybe that's part of it. But I think a big part of it, like Mike Work said, was that he jumped ship to Nitro.
Yeah,
because Vince holds all that. Remember when he fired Jarrett and Luger? I think who else was it on the first when they did the simulcast or whatever? He doesn't forget that shit, and he gets, there's some guys that are just, there's just a few of them, but there's some guys that never come back. I mean, Luger's done stuff for the DVDs and everything, but, it's going to take a while. I think he'll do the Hall of Fame with him.
They didn't bury him. They didn't kill him or anything, but I just saw him too recently, and he was nice. It would be nice if they put him, I think they should, but, if they've got a guy, they've got Rikishi and, like, who else in there? Who's Coco Beware's in there? I mean, Lex Luger. I mean, you could argue that
Luger easily, I don't like Luger, but he's a Hall of Famer. I mean, think if Luger came in 89 or 90 or something when he was, he would have been he would have been an opponent for Hogan, or something. I mean, he could have been, he could have made a lot more money.
Would have been like,
they were still riding, they were riding the 80th wave in 93. And
didn't they tease that? Didn't they tease a Hogan Luger match in WWE?
I don't remember it.
Early
when he was
on.
There, in like 83?
Yeah.
I'm surprised they didn't do it, actually, because Luger was a heel. I'm surprised they didn't have him and Bobby Heenan. Bobby Heenan's one last, try to take Hogan down. This is the last chance.
They just missed because I bet you they would have, because if he could have kept up that narcissist thing, they could have done it. He could have knocked out everyone. He knocked out Perfect. He knocked out this guy, that guy, and then he could have gotten to, here we go, Hulk Hogan versus, but Hogan left before 10, so. But, they had Yokozuna anyway.
Shit,
so.
You're right. It might have been just missing it.
But something? Well, no. That's later. Maybe earlier it was going to happen. I don't know if that's what you meant. But think about this, too. At WrestleMania 10, not to keep going in the past. I know we want to go in the future here, but state of the WWE, like 10,000 years ago. But Mr. Perfect, why did they never... I felt like they never mentioned at WrestleMania 10. They were like, why did Perfect do this? Why didn't they just say multiple times, like... Remember, he knocked out Mr. Perfect last year at WrestleMania. Why didn't they just? Why didn't he just say that was?
Because Luger's a babyface, and they don't want to remind the fans that he's a shithead.
That's a good point.
I think that's the way they thought back then. Is they think the fans have no memory. They think as clowns and trashmen back then, so the fans are young. They're hoping that they don't remember or something. That
for
Luger
anybody
did those things.
For anybody who thinks that, and I want to maybe WWE's listening. I was a 9-year-old kid. And the first thing that came to my mind the year later was why the hell? Because I thought this. I said, well, obviously I know why he did it, because he screwed him last year at WrestleMania 9. He knocked him out last year. I was saying that out loud. None of the announcers said it, and they couldn't figure out why he did it. They kept asking, why did he do it? Like, it was an article. Yeah. There was like in the WWE magazine. They're like, we don't know why Mr. Perfect would do that. What the hell are you talking about?
Yeah, you saw it a year ago. Jesus, yeah,
was 9.
It's frustrating back then. They had so many examples of things like that they did, and that's a good one, because they could have then had another rematch, and this time they'd reversed roles. Kurt's babyface or Kurt's heel, and they could have worked SummerSlam.
What do you think about this? Because I agree with Vince Russo on many things. I disagree with him on some things as well. Because in my opinion, in the Attitude Era, the wrestling wasn't that good, but the storylines were so damn good. Vince Russo talks about how The Rock lost, to like Steve Blackman, like, and stuff like that, and it's like nobody cared because it didn't matter, because all you cared about was the storylines that were going on. So they could have losses and put Blackman over and all these things because it was so much about the storyline. And you see that, I see that with TNA too. I'm like, oh man, I can't wait to see what happens next week as far as the stories go. And we're going to get some pretty good wrestling. But with WWE now, it's, first of all, the wrestling is better than it's ever been. The actual wrestling is probably better than it's ever been.
Certainly.
But what they're doing, but there's no story whatsoever. It's all about win-loss. And I don't care. It's like, I don't care what happens on Raw, because it's all wrestling stuff, and you're an idiot, and I'm an idiot, and I'll beat you. Like, and then they go to the match, and it's all about, I just want to see the match. I just want to get to SummerSlam to see the matches. Yeah. The build-up sucks because there's no storylines. It's all about the pin and the numbers, and I wonder if WWE is going to go even more into that sort of landscape, because they're really going for, this is a sport, which is bizarre, because this is like the opposite of everything they've ever done. They're like, this is a sport. Pretty soon we're going to start seeing fucking Sami Zayn with 32 wins and 7 losses this year. We're going to start, because that's the way they're going. But guys, also, that's the way the rabid part of the crowd, the fan base, is going. They're going for like the big ass match. Look at the tournament that's going on in NXT and all this stuff. But in my opinion, if they could just get the storyline and the storytelling back and keep the wrestling the way it is too, this would be amazing. But the storytelling is dead.
No, I know. Remember when the Hurricane beat The Rock? What did The Rock do? He went on to become the biggest movie star in the history of planet Earth. Nobody cared that he lost and didn't have, because it was the storyline and everything surrounding her was more important than all that shit. I wouldn't be surprised if they would do win-losses when the Cruiserweight division starts, if they start, tallying this shit or whatever.
Yeah, I mean,
they keep flip-flopping before what they want to do.
Right.
As far as the storytelling versus the win.
Well, then they can get into fantasy fantasy wrestling and shit. You know what I mean? They can do their own fantasy wrestling league.
I think what they realized was, and it's probably at least 5 years too late, they probably realized, hey, wow, this whole MMA thing is getting really hot. Maybe we should adapt some policies of that. And I think they are way too late to capitalize on that. But I think that what they're trying to do is, and you can see some of it on both Raw and SmackDown, that they're trying to implement, whether it be the presentation or the hype build. I mean, shit. I mean, and obviously this is an easy one to follow on because it's Brock. But look at Brock and Orton stuff. Like it's very MMA built type of scenarios. I'm not saying it's bad, but you can definitely see the influence. And so I think to back up both of you guys, they are kind of leaning more towards the win-loss, but I feel like they keep fucking flip-flopping between what they want, and I think that's the main reason why they're focusing on that win-loss record more now, I think.
Well, how about TNA? Because they're going full bore. I mean, apparently the new world title is going to be...
Oh, yeah, I heard about that.
This is a spoiler for people who watch NXT, but I mean for TNA, but we'll kind of say it real quick. Apparently, there's going to be 3 rounds in a match for the world title, and there's going to be judges and points. What the fuck?
Yeah, that's definitely... Well, they used to do that for the old NWA titles.
Yeah. Well,
so it was
you're right.
Well, the world, anyway.
But,
yeah, they're just... I don't think they have these crazy ideas and they go with them. They don't know if they're going to work. They should title it Melancholy and the Infinite Sadness.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very confused. I've been on board with everything they've been doing. Everything else they've been doing, I've been on board with. I don't know how this is going to work. I'm curious to see it. It's almost like I'm curious to see it the first time they do it, because what the hell is that going to be like? But if it doesn't seem right, it doesn't work. It's almost getting too complicated for people, I think.
If you're going to have something that new, you better have a few plans in advance, not just like, oh, let's just play it by ear and see how it goes and come up with new ideas. No, you better have if you're going to have this format now or do this shit with the world title or whatever.
Well, it's going to suck.
Figure it out.
It's going to suck either way, because if it's a shoot or a work, you're screwed.
Yeah.
The only way I could possibly see it working is if it was maybe a shoot, but even that's just then you basically got the glorified brawl for all. We all know that went.
Yeah, they're not going to do that, because they're going to keep this thing. Apparently, it's always going to go. Like, I just can't imagine
it's hard to wrap your head around.
Like, time limits in a wrestling match, you don't really want to do that, in my opinion. That's it's like the flow of the match is going on. Can you imagine if they stopped the match the other night? Did anybody see the main event on TNA the other night?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
no, I didn't.
Well, it was a pretty good match. James Storm versus Bobby Lashley, and I don't like Bobby Lashley that much, but.
Oh, I saw the end. I'm sorry, I did see it.
Well, but the crowd was roaring. There was a build-up. What do you do when you're going to stop the... Oh, it's round 2.
Yeah. Right, yeah, you're killing the... They might, oh, shit, I can piss now. I can run out and, go away, or the fans can look at their phones, or they can do anything else. Yeah, it does not sound on paper like a great idea. I
am all for judges, if the match is going on, but why do you have to do that? I'm very confused at how this helps at all. TNA.
Yeah, especially if you're doing it consistently. Judges every now and then. Flair and Steamboat had judges once. It's fine, if you do it every now and then or whatever. But yeah, if they're going to try to make that a format, I mean, bravo for trying something different. But I don't know if this is going to work. But I don't know. Broken Matt Hardy, we didn't think it would work either. Look at him.
And now you have to bow down to my excellence.
He's the best. He's the best.
Delete. Did you hear my sex calls, Matt Hardy, by the way?
I saw them. I have them pulled up on my computer right now, actually.
Well, when we're done this, enjoy my Matt Hardy calls a sex line. And everybody else listening, by the way, every time I do a sex line call, somebody writes, do another one of these. And I'm like, I have done them. And they're like, I've only heard this one. There's a Matt Hardy one, there's an Undertaker one, there's a Bret Hart one. I think there's a Stone Cold one.
Joe, I can do a Mauro Ranallo one with you.
You should do a Mauro Ranallo one,
yeah.
That'd be good.
Listen, I just want to make sure that you have your pants off because I have mine.
I swear this girl knows who Matt Hardy is, because in the middle of the call, I said delete, 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 and then we started talking about something else. Then after a few minutes, she goes, delete, delete, delete. I was like, what?
On a dilapidated boat.
I will take you to a dilapidated boat, and I will eat your innards, and I will feast upon your mule, and you're disgusting. I take you to another dimension. Delete! Sorry.
The seven deities have blessed my penis.
I sent it to Matt too. I hope to God. I can't wait to hear back from that. Like, what the hell is this?
You've seen him in person recently. Is he not cracking the hell up when he's off camera or what?
Oh, dude, when I was talking to him, he said, he leans over to me and he goes, hey, do you know what I'm doing in a couple weeks? Have you read the things? And I'm like, no, I haven't read them yet. He goes, all right, well, you'll see what happens. You'll see it. It's something with a fan, and people are gonna think it's crazy. And I was like, okay. Wow. It was him biting the fan, which I did. I laughed my ass off. Dude, last week, he's outside running amok while Jeff has to wrestle by himself. And I mean, this dude hypnotizes a Jeff Hardy fan into ripping his sign up It was hilarious, by the way. And then he bites Al Snow's finger, like his finger's bleeding or whatever. And then he grabs his boot and beats up one of the guys Jeff is wrestling on the outside with his boot. I mean, this is fucking...
He's the most over person. I don't know why they don't give him back the belt.
Well, he's got to be... He doesn't need it, is the answer. He is literally the... He is Bray Wyatt booked right.
Yeah.
That's exactly what Matt Hardy is right now.
Was he... I didn't hear the Jericho podcast. They say he's on there in character. Is that right?
Actually, I'm about 7/8 done with it because I've been listening at it like a couple of days. Oh my God, probably one of the best wrestling podcasts I've ever heard in my entire life. Because
I gotta listen to that.
It's not just the fact that he's broken Matt the entire time, but like Jericho feeds into it, and just the two of them. I don't want to spoil it. You gotta. It's a must listen.
I'm pissed because like about a month ago I said I wanted Matt to be on, and he told me he couldn't be on until about 2 weeks after right now. And now I know why, because he was probably booked for Jericho and all these things, and I was like, oh man, he'll come on in character, it'll be great. But I believe in the next 2 weeks or 3 weeks, Matt Hardy will be here, and he'll probably be in character, so it will be really good.
Was he in character the whole time of the show?
Pretty much, unless somebody brought something up, then he would go, okay man, cool man, that's awesome, like blah blah. So he was like just being Matt, but then like when then he would go into it for people. It was just he did exactly what I would do. It was like, hey man, no, that's really cool. Let me sign this for you. Hey man, let me tell you something. Like, and he would just go into like, so it was. But then sometimes he would just stay in it for a few minutes, like. And when
I just can't believe they both turned out crazy. Like, that's just so fucking awesome.
I can't wait to see what the hell this goes.
I remember the Hardy Boys when they were like teenagers. I used to live like an hour away from them, and Matt seemed normal, and Jeff seemed, the one kind of out of his mind a little bit. So Matt's awesome. I love everything he's doing.
I can't believe he could do it. I mean, really, think of all the years and everything he's done and what he's done, and if you look at Matt Hardy and say, well, Matt Hardy ever do anything? You'd be like, no. So unfortunately, he's kind of boring, All of a sudden,
now of all times, he'd finally get it.
Yeah, I mean, he's outdone Jeff. I mean, Jeff Hardy, obviously the risk taker and the one who makes the memories for all the impactful wrestling moves, the high flying. And Matt was always a great technician. But as far as entertaining, I mean, Willow was just screwed up. But for some reason, even though Willow was like screwed up and out there, it didn't connect like this. Like this broken Matt Hardy is connected. I mean, this is sold pay-per-views,
Oh, totally, yeah.
This is unbelievable shit. But that's okay. I know it's state of the WWE, but you know what I mean. You guys deserve to hear about TNA too, damn it, because we're comparing them. And I don't mind that. Any thoughts on the preview for what we're going to see on Raw tonight?
That's tonight, isn't it? Shit, yeah.
Well, where are you on? Are you in California?
Yeah, I'm in San Diego, so it's only 10 o'clock. Yeah,
okay.
I guess that's today. I don't know. Well, it's to go home, so they've got Brock, right?
Yep.
Promo, or is there going to be some sort of he's going to do something like it's the final one? So
I'd say
promo or Orton is going to be in there. Or is he going to? I thought last week he'd show up in F5 Daniel Bryan or something on Raw or whatever.
That'd be great.
You'd think that whoever gets the one up on the guy will be the guy that goes over. Will they do the whole Orton shows up or? Yeah, Orton shows up and then Brock rolls out of the ring and just stares at him and they walk away. And that's
I think it's going to be that or a pull apart type of thing where they don't touch or they get close or whatever. It's,
I'll kill you. You'll have to.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to. Maybe they'll do that.
Tune in this Sunday to find out or whatever.
You know what?
Tomorrow, so they can do the
see
same
you
thing tomorrow.
on Sunday.
Yeah.
You know what? They might do that. They might do a whole fucking hundreds of people holding them back thing.
They did that with
and they can try. They can do the whole thing again if they wanted to do two separate things. I mean, they could have one a pull apart and the second physicality, maybe like on SmackDown, Brock.
Do you know what I'd like to see?
The party or something.
I would like to see Orton take out Brock for a second, and then like something's happening, blah blah blah, and Brock gets back in the ring, and Brock does that thing where he just like slams the arm. It looks like he snapped the guy's arm off, and do that to Orton's bad shoulder.
And Orton's got to go into the match.
Yeah, and then you're like, oh my god, what happened to Orton's arm? What's it gonna be like? And so nobody knows. Like, fucking Orton's arm is fucked. And then we're going into SummerSlam with Orton's arm might be fucked, and is he gonna show up against Brock Lesnar? And
could do what they did with Cena. Have Brock just suplex the hell out of Randy Orton and just squash him, but at the end he gets hit with an RKO and loses.
Or have him do something where, like,
Wow.
Heyman cuts the promo at first, Orton comes out, RKO's Heyman, Brock runs in, and then Brock's, like, throughout, and that's at the top of the Raw. And then you have basically the entire Raw where Brock is hunting down for Orton backstage.
Anything like that would be good to keep our interest, for sure.
Right, that's the whole...
Yeah, I'm wondering if WWE doesn't have the balls to do something like that, because they might be billing this as, hey, we've never seen this, it's 15 years in the making, all the shit that they're saying. They might not need all that extra career. If this is a match that already happened a couple times, they might need extra stuff like, Paul Heyman being kidnapped or F5 or whatever, or RKO. So maybe they don't even want to do that, and they just want to have a Brock, Orton, no BS kind of, even though the fans might want more than that, that might be all WWE's willing to give. And they might. Who's to say? Every time they've had a match, like when Brock worked with Triple H at SummerSlam, they turn around and worked again at Mania. So it's not out of the question that these guys come back together for a rematch.
Right.
So
I mean, if I was WWE, I would have booked a weigh-in type of thing, like a weigh-in thing, like on SmackDown.
They could still do that on Raw.
And if they want to be like MMA, and I would have had them.
Yeah, that'd be better than a contract signing. Yeah. I
would have had them shake hands. Then this would have been great. I would have had them have to shake hands after they weigh in. Do that whole thing where they look at each other and pose, and they even had the cameramen there and everything, and they're gonna be like making 15 years of making or whatever the fuck they say every second, and then and they want them to lock up their hands, right? And they lock up their hands and they stare at each other, and they're getting the photos, and then they're like, okay, we're good. And I want Brock to go and like Orton to be like, oh, and they grab his shoulder, you know what I mean? And then everyone's trying to hold Brock back, and he's gone crazy, dude. That would build so much shit for that match.
That'd be great.
And put Orton more over as the face if that was your goal. That would be way more exciting.
And it has to be somewhat resolved too. You would think after the finish, these guys are on separate shows, so whatever they do at SummerSlam at least have to keep them apart till Survivor Series, I guess.
Right.
Yep.
So you can't think that it's just going to end in one match and then we're done. It is 15 years.
Well, I've already heard plans for Brock after SummerSlam, but nothing with Survivor Series.
I can't believe Brock loses. I mean, he still has not given away his clean win to somebody yet, so he's still holding that fucking.
Yeah.
His contract's up at 33, right?
Yeah, after 33, right? The night after is the last appearance.
He's done.
Or he won't even appear.
Yeah, he signed a 2 or 3 year deal. I forgot.
I thought it was 2. Shit,
okay, yeah.
I don't remember either, but yeah, this would be. I mean, if this is his last, I mean, you would ideally, what you would do is you would set up Brock Lesnar to be in the main event at WrestleMania 33 against whoever the new face is going to be. I mean, that's what you would do. And, there was a time when we thought maybe that was Daniel Bryan, and people didn't like that because they didn't believe that Bryan could, beat Brock. But, how amazing would it have been when Daniel Bryan was well over, for Daniel Bryan to about to be F5, then he gets F5, but he lands on his feet instead, runs into the corner, then runs at Brock and knees him in the head, and Brock sells the knee, and then bam, he pins Brock Lesnar. I mean, that would have been, under Daniel Bryan's popularity, would be huge.
Yeah, do you see Seth getting that match as a babyface?
Those two have great chemistry.
They've worked, and it's not totally resolved, is it, between the two? And maybe Seth gets that win.
It's
Seth
not.
And Brock, yeah.
They had great heat after WrestleMania that night after. That was crazy heat. That was fun. I mean, not heat. But
Brock's worked with Punk, and he was going to work with Bryan had he stayed healthy. So it's not like he's working with a small guy, and that's weird. Why not?
Yeah, money.
I think they would be. I think they'd be
curb
chemistry.
Stomp for the win. one time only curb stomp.
Even
for WrestleMania
on the outside of the ring would be cool too. On the side of the mat, Brock's.
Oh yeah.
That would be. I do the curb stomp on the outside. Then Brock's all screwed up in the ring, and then that's when he comes in and pedigrees him.
True, yeah, because you got to do replays and you got to shoot it over and over. So if you don't want the curb stomp to be seen all the time, you don't want it in the finish.
Yeah, but that works on the side of the apron. Would be devastating. It's a great idea. All right, guys. Well, I think we've expunged the time or whatever the hell it is. But I really appreciate you being here. This was a good show, and we never knew what the hell it was going to sound like with all of us. So good mic work. Check him out on YouTube, guys. He's got a lot of lengthy videos where he goes into depth. He's obviously very, very knowledgeable. Good guy. Obviously, you've heard him now, and he sounds like the smarter version of Old School Matt, which is funny. My old school listeners will know what I'm talking about. But Different, much different though. And your mic is way better. So, and even though you're on a cell phone, it's still better than his. He used to call from.
Yeah, I thought I would sound like shit. I didn't know what I sound like on this.
Well, I got to get you on the Skype with the mic and everything someday. But
yeah, I've got that set up for you whenever you want.
I'll come on yours and stuff, and everybody. I'll come on all you. So go check out Good Mic Work. You're gonna like him. You're also gonna like Connor from OK Fabe, and also OneWrestling.com reporter as well. And that's about it. Follow me on Twitter at Joe Cronin Show. This was State of the WWE episode, I believe, number 67. 67. Wow, I can't do that. My voice is screwed up. We'll see you next time, guys.
Peace, bitches.
Peace.
Wrestling fans and Joe Cronin fans, don't forget that August 26th in Brockton, Massachusetts, Kevin Nash, one of the founders of the NWO, is going to be live in action for Top Rope Promotions' Summer Showdown. Vader will be there as well with Gangrel and the innovator of violence, Tommy Dreamer. Get your tickets now, Brockton, Massachusetts, the Brockton Rocks Baseball Stadium for Top Rope Promotions' Summer Showdown. Joe Cronin will be on commentary, and you better be there. Get your tickets at brownbagtickets.com or check it out in the description box down below or visit Top Rope Promotions on Twitter. Summer Showdown, August 26th. Be there or be a bitch.